It's That Horror Critic's top films of 2012. Hey guys, That Horror Critic here, and today we're going to be talking about my top 10 films of 2012. Before we get started, I want to say The Hobbit is not on my list, though I did think it was a pretty darn good movie. The only thing that I did not like about The Hobbit was, of course, that extreme length of the movie, which is always associated with those Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings films. Other than that, I thought it was really good, really great landscape as always. The surrounding locations, absolutely perfect. Um, and then I wish I had seen Silver Linings Playbook. That's another one. Uh, I'm sure it'd be on this list if I had seen it. And whenever I do see it, when it comes to DVD, and Blu-ray. I'll make sure to talk about it briefly and maybe tell you where it'd be on this list. So, alright, without further ado, let's dive right in and talk about number 10. Number 10 is The Avengers. Of course, The Avengers is basically all your Marvel superheroes that you've seen their movies coming out these past few years rolled together in one. You know, we have Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans as Captain America, Mark Ruffalo, who I thought did a great job as the Hulk, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, and Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. They do a fantastic job. Um, I can't say enough about this movie. I mean, you get what you pay for. Whenever you watch The Avengers, you want to see an awesome movie with a lot of action with your favorite superheroes, and that's exactly what you get. I mean, Marvel knows how to make superhero movies. They just do. These movies have been absolutely fantastic. All these superhero movies are great. I really, really wish that DC could do better. That way we could have a good Superman movie, which I hope Man of Steel is, and a good, of course, they can do Batman, but I mean, that's about it. So Marvel, great job again. You get what you pay for. Awesome action movie. Gotta see it. Number 9, Looper. Alright, so Looper is a time travel movie, but it's got a unique spin and is definitely unlike what I've ever seen before. Now, time travel can get pretty confusing, and they actually make jokes about if you think about it too much. Of course, it's not going to make too much sense because it's hard to make a movie that's an accurate portrayal of time travel because there's so many ways you can look at it. But this has Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis in it, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is basically in a loop where he has to kill his older self, but his older self has had such a great life that he wants to defend against his younger self. Is basically a very watered down version of the plot. Of course, it's a lot more interesting than that, but that's a watered down version of the plot. Now, this is a great movie. I love the ending. The whole way through, it keeps you entertained the whole way through, and it's a good movie to keep you thinking. So that's The Looper. All right, so number 8, Dread 3D. Now, this movie did not make hardly any money in the box office, and I think that's because this movie wasn't advertised a whole lot, and a lot of people didn't even know it was out, to be honest. Um, and by the trailer, it was all slow mo. It was flashy looking, but it didn't look too good. Well, it was great. It was a fantastic, fantastic action movie, and I loved it. It's a lot better than the original Stallone version, and Judge Dredd, Carl Urban, all you see of him is the bottom of his mouth because that's all that's shown. But so he conveys so many frowns and so many grunts and so many great lines. It's amazing. Basically, it's just him and his rookie partner who he's grading on her skill. And she has kind of a psychic ability that's helping him out. And they're going through Mega City 1, and it's got a ton of it's basically a giant tower block that has a bunch of people that live in it in peach trees. And there's a drug lord known as Mama who has all these people that are under her. And Dredd and the Rookie come in and take the whole place down. That's pretty much the whole movie. Very similar to The Raid, The Redemption, whereas that's a lot of fighting. This is a lot of gun shooting, but this gun shooting doesn't get old because of all the different things his gun can do. It's so entertaining. And like I said, Carl Urban did a great job. I mean, oh man, he's such a good Dredd. He's one of the main reasons I love this movie so much is that he plays Dredd so well. So Dredd, definitely see it, and I wish it would have made its money back. It sucks that it didn't. But that's number 8. All right, number 7 is 21 Jump Street. It's an action comedy movie. It stars Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. Basically, it's a movie of the series, except for it's more nowadays. It has Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum, so the comedy is a lot more nowadays, and it's hilarious. Basically, they're two police officers, and they're assigned to go undercover as high school students so they can prevent this breakout of this drug and arrest the supplier. So it's very, very, very funny, and I mean, the comedy in a lot of these movies now is just tasteless, and a lot of people unfortunately laugh at it, but it's so tasteless. It has no substance. But this was actually genuinely funny. I laughed at the majority of the movie, and it's hard to believe that these two, whom I'm not the biggest fan of, provided a sincere comedy. So definitely check out 21 Jump Street. Number 6 is The Dark Knight Rises. It's the third and last of the Dark Knight series, directed by Christopher Nolan. Alright, so I really enjoyed this movie. This movie got a lot of mixed signals, and some people might say, wow, this is your number 6? How did this possibly beat Avengers? Good question. Well, Avengers is more of a popcorn movie, and it's really fun to watch. And this has, I mean, I'm not saying there's not substance in Avengers, but this has like a story you really get pulled into. You get emotionally involved with Batman and his fall and rise. And Bane, I love Bane in this movie. Tom Hardy does a great job. And everyone just does a really, really bang up job. So Dark Knight Rises, Hans Zimmer's music, excellent. Definitely brings in the latter half of the movie with the music playing and the grand epic scheme of things. It really puts you in a great uprising mood. Like, you feel really, really good after you watch this movie. You feel like you've gone through a journey. So Dark Knight Rises, definitely check it out. Number 5 is End of Watch. It's directed by David Ayer. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena. And basically, they're two Los Angeles Police Department officers who work in South Central Los Angeles. And, like, they have cameras on them, and you get to see, like, they joke around a lot, and their jokes are really funny. And they start going after, well, they start busting these guys, and as they keep busting them, they find a link, so they go after the link, and they get in on more than they can handle. And it's this big, giant drug. Like, it actually gets to the point where there's human trafficking, and, this whole gang's coming after them. So it's very good, and it's between the two main characters. The relationship between them, you get really attached to their characters, and it's a great movie. Great movie. I recommend it for sure. Number 4 is Skyfall. Skyfall is the 23rd James Bond film and the third of the Daniel Craig movies. It is better than Quantum of Solace, but it's not as good as Casino Royale. Nevertheless, it's still a great movie and an awesome addition to the Bond films. Daniel Craig has earned my respect, and I consider him to be the second best Bond, right behind Sean Connery. But Bond is all about the villains, and this one has Javier Bardem as the villain. He's incredibly technologically savvy, and there's a great scene where Bond, M, and the gatekeeper are all boarded up at Bond's estate, and he comes in on a chopper gunner with this awesome music playing. This movie is incredibly Bond-esque, and it brings Q into the movie, and Ralph Fiennes also plays Gareth Malloy, and he does a great job. So it's a great movie. If you love Bond, you're gonna love this movie. So I can't wait for the next. Number 3, Django Unchained. Alright, so this is Quentin Tarantino, and this is released in 2012, December 25th, 2012. So this is very borderline, but still 2012 nonetheless. Okay, Quentin Tarantino, um it's got a lot of the use of the N-word, which is period piece, I suppose. Because it was regular for people to say back in that time. There's a lot of uproar about it, but I mean, I really don't care. Um, yeah, this is a really, really, really good movie. And, well, Jamie Foxx is really the title character, but Christoph Waltz's character is by far the person that you look at. Well, like the whole movie, he's practically the main character. He's the one you really care about. And Jamie Foxx is a good character, but he doesn't say a whole lot, and he seems kind of insignificant of the plot up until the end of the movie. So, yeah. Quentin Tarantino, of course, this is extremely violent, like over the top violence, which is great, and I mean, I love it, really. Leonardo DiCaprio he plays a slave owner at Candyland Ranch. My God, he is absolutely perfect for this role. I mean, he plays it to such a great extent. I mean, whenever you picture Southern slave owner, he is completely the like manifestation of Southern slave owner. Like you think of it, that's exactly what comes to mind. He plays it perfectly. And this might be my favorite role Leonardo DiCaprio's ever been in. And at times he's very fear-inducing. Like he actually gets so angry, you're kind of scared for the characters. So great, great, great movie. Definitely go see it if you haven't already saw it. Number 2 is The Grey. Alright, so The Grey, it came out in January 27th, 2012. So once again, this is kind of borderline that it almost came out in 2011. And in fact, in another place, it did come out in 2011. But I live in America, so 2012. The Grey, it stars Liam Neeson. That's all you need to know. A lot of people were convinced by the trailer that this was just going to be an action movie where Liam Neeson, their plane crashes and he fights wolves, really badassery. But no, it's not. It's a lot more than that. You get a really, really sophisticated and a character study. You really get into the characters, and by the end of the movie, it's incredibly sad. It's basically a survival story. The plane crashes, and slowly, one by one, each of the survivors of the crash get picked off by these wolves until it's just Liam Neeson. And he reflects on what they've done. It's a very, very depressing movie, but nonetheless, it's really good. And it's one of those movies where in the end he thinks about his life, and you think about how lucky you are that, yeah, you might not consider your life to be so great, but I mean, when you're put in the situation like this, you would love to go back to your normal life. It seems so fantastic to you then. So this is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. Go watch it. A really, really good movie. Gotta see it. And the number 1 movie of 2012 in my humble opinion, is Argo. It's a thriller movie. It's directed by Ben Affleck. It stars Ben Affleck. It's based on the Canadian caper where Tony Mendez, a CIA operative, led the rescue of 6 U.S. diplomats from Tehran, Iran, during the 1979 Iran hostage crisis. So basically, um, the Iranians stormed a U.S. embassy, and six U.S. civilians that worked at the embassy escaped to a Canadian ambassador's embassy, and CIA operative Tony Mendez, played by Ben Affleck, comes in, and he's before he left to go to Iran, he he's with John Goodman and Alan Arkin. He staged, and Bryan Cranston's also in the movie. He staged a movie. They started making a movie to cover up so he could go into Iran, get the hostages, make sure they know their lines, know who they are, and they're scouting out for locations because it's a science fiction film and they need Iranian locations with the desert and things like that. So he gets them and tries to escape, and that's what the movie's about, him getting them out of Iran. It's very, very, very tense. And my God, this movie has a time on it. I believe it's a decent length, but you don't feel it at all. You really don't. And near the end, whenever they're trying to get through the checkpoints, is extremely intense. And my God, history really appeals to me, especially when it's done so great. Ben Affleck is a master of the skill. He is a great, great filmmaker. Yeah, he's had some misses and he's had some hits, and this is definitely a hit. And if you haven't seen this movie, which I'm not sure how well it did, how many people saw it, but if you haven't seen it, you really, really, really should see it. I mean, it's my number one movie of 2012. It comes out February 19th on DVD and Blu-ray. I'll be sure to get it whenever it comes out. It was a fantastic movie, and I recommend it without any hesitation whatsoever, no matter what type of movie you're into. I think you'll love it. So, thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.